Welcome, aspirants, to this, an introduction to those stemmed from the world shrouded in darkness. To those of the 8th, excessive use of tactics meant to pacify and unnerve the enemy, either through sheer fear or extreme violence. Fear is your stock and trade. Led by the Primarch Conrad Kurz, those of the 8th are one with the night. Children of night, they were once known as. Now, they are more commonly referred to as the Night Lords. Finding their lineage stemming from the murder clans and inmates of some of the oldest prisoners on ancient Terra, the original cohorts were uniquely suited for induction into the Astartes project. For these aspirants, most were not actual prisoners, for those inmates had served their sentences and died long ago. The families left, and the countless generations that grew in the rotted, dark and cold cells under countless hives across Terra. For these individuals, darkness was as clear as a new dawn sunrise. Those selected to be the first of the 8th Legion would never have known freedom, was it not for the coming of the Emperor of Mankind. Seeing their potential, he raised them from lives of abject torture and squalor into future weapons of war, to be cast amongst the stars. Given new purpose, these night children would serve him, for in their eyes, not even the most bloody warlords of the once war-torn landscape of humanity's cradle would dare seek out the warriors of the 8th by choice. With skin as pale as alabaster, with eyes as cold as the ice caps of the old Himalasia, they saw first action cleansing old Terra of the Saragorn Conclave. Saragorn Conclave, initially surrendering their hostilities and arms to the Emperor of Mankind, still were reluctant to adhere to all of his edicts when relating to the banishment of genetic experimentation on psychers. Such horrors would not stand, and as such, the Emperor gave the Legion its first action: the censure and extermination of the Saragorn Conclave. Skin lacking in melanin, these Night's children brought true nightmares into brisk reality. Blood ran freely from their blades, slickened with the guilty, the crimes of their foes repaid with violent retribution. There is no grey area for tactical discussions of clemency with those on the 8th. To these Astartes, there is only the guilty or the innocent. There is no middle measure. There is no in between. A contrast in judgment as clear as the difference between day and midnight. Those that fall under the blades of the 8th would receive no quarter. When the Emperor deems the action befitting of more than just censure, but utter violent action, he would be quoted as simply ordering, "Send in the 8th." The question now remains: what kind of Primarch would be fitted to lead such a force of post-human warriors in the Emperor's name? Only one fitted that mould. One which served his younger years on a world clad in perpetual night. The one whose world was the home of the most vile examples of humanity, requiring a subtle figurehead to instill imperial justice, no matter the cost. One known affectionately by those of the world Nostromo as the Night Altar, the Primarch Conrad Kurz. The Emperor's 8th son, Conrad Kurz, could be said to have been sired by two fathers: the Emperor of Mankind and the world of Nostromo itself. By the time of the Emperor's arrival, Kurz had brought a world once on the brink of violent ruin into a semblance of imperial order, not through dint of martial honour or codified structure, but sheer, unadulterated fear. Clad in a pollution-slickened atmosphere, the world of eternal night, Nostromo, was a home to a pitiful example of humanity. Slave workers, gang hivers, and foundry labourers, those of the lower classes, would see in Conrad both messiah and menace. To the upper hivers living in squalid affluence and opulence, would only quietly speak of the Primarch, for fear of his violent retribution. The suicide rate on such a planet was so high, as was the murder and crime rate, that as the Primarch grew in stature and influence, his acts of barbarism and taste for violence beyond the pale brought fear-induced order, until the Emperor came to reunite him with his legion, that is. The unique method of control he now exudes to his sons. Worlds found to resist the imperial rule would find themselves in the Night Haunter's sight, given a simple choice: submit or die. Most would fall in line, a few would not. Those that would not would pay a very high price. Such is the way of the Eighth, such is the way of the Legion. To unite the denizens of humanity, some thousands of years hence since last connection with the greater galaxy, extreme measures are sometimes required. The Night Haunter would be your Legion father, your avatar of war. Clad in midnight blue power armor, you will be suited for midnight raids into contested realms, using the shadows and dark places as your point of egress. Fear is your tradable coin, decorating your armor with all manner of effigies to instill fear into your foe. Skin, flensed flesh, bone, sinew. The rumour of your hellish actions will sometimes be enough to ensure compliance. Bringing peace through atrocity to countless worlds, your time amongst the legions would depend on your chosen way of war. Would you consider joining the ranks of the terror squads, used primarily to incite fear and unease in the ranks of the enemy? Or perhaps the Night Raptors, who, soaring through the skies, striking from lightning-strewn clouds to land amongst the foes, leaving bloody messes that were once the enemy in your wake? Each company is known by a unique epithet, such as the 71st, the Crimson Judges, or the 27th Company, also known as the Shattered Skull. Perhaps your notoriety for violence and success may see you rise further through the ranks, to join the likes of the heroes of the 8th, the Kyrop Terror. This court of warriors transcend normal rank, and each member has a unique quality that your Primarch finds valuable. Perhaps your value is greater still, finding your elevation to the ranks of the Terminator-clad 1st Company and the Atramentar. Armed with crackling lightning claws, your commander, Jago Sevatarian, would lead you into battle armed with his own set of lightning claws, and only the finest arms of war available to those in the 1st Company. Perhaps your lust for war would see you sought for the ranks of the Kontakar, the shock troops of the 1st Company. Your talent for butchery and murder may see its true finding amongst this collection of warriors. Whatever your future may hold, the 8th are not simply murderers and ghouls of ill repute, haunting the dreams of the wary and the nightmares of the cruel. You are a necessary evil, a force of will that sometimes requires absolute justice to be served. Led by an avatar of fear, you would know no fear but breed it in spades amongst the enemies of man. Seek out the guilty, punish the unrepentant, and end the lives of those deemed traitor The children of midnight have come, and they will hear your voices. If this is your chosen method of war, then perhaps a life serving the 8th Legion is one for you. Perhaps you should seek out admittance to the Night Lords.